Nyarji Khenpo Tsoten Nyingma Lineage Sonne Malum Khenpo Ngabjata Bakardar Ngan Do Ikerma Do Tomba Tukje Janla Kipshan Sar Kongla Simji Tambaran Chinde Jibate Kola Shagan Sarjan Kongla Nupa Hijan Dimderwai Devi Joni Tela Jab Senche. Welcome to all of you. I hope you all are doing well and are happy and safe. As usual, before we start the teaching, again, take a moment to correct your motivation, which means think about all living beings who are suffering from all kinds of problems and who are facing difficulties. Keep them in your practice and send them good thoughts, love and compassion, bodhicitta. That is aspiration, motivation. Buddha said, chunam tamchi jiniyant. Everything is circumstantial and depends on entirely one's aspiration. Whatever prayers of aspiration you make, it will again result accordingly. So if we do all our actions with bodhicitta, we will reach the genuine bodhisattva path through, this kind of motivation, aspiration, practice bodhicitta. We reach the bodhisattva path, and that path is the result of our positive actions. And through those actions, positive actions, we will be able to diminish and reduce selfish mind. And we will be able to, once we diminish selfish mind, then we'll be able to stop accumulating negative karma. So basically, bodhicitta is the foundation of our practice. I remember last time we talked about the great master Longshenpa said that if we don't make a good and pure aspirations with compassion and bodhicitta, then we cannot open the treasury of altruism, bodhicitta mind, awakened mind. So without bodhicitta mind, we cannot, our action will not be right, because based on selfish motivation, and then we cannot walk onto the bodhisattva path. So therefore, before we go any further, I would like you all to remember the the essence of your practice. Basically, there are two things you must keep constantly in your mind all the time if you really want to and engage, practice Mahayana Buddhism. these two things are mindfulness and bodhicitta. So once you remember these two things are inseparably mindfulness, bodhicitta, then that means you are Dharma practitioner. You practice Mahayana Buddhism authentically. Otherwise, when we consider that when we practice, like when you sit down on your cushion and then you in your shrine room and then in front of all these holy objects, and then you recite prayers, you recite mantra, and people see that, they think you are practicing, and you think also you are practicing, but not necessarily. I think because I used to do that a lot. And when you sit down and then you recite the prayers, rituals, mantras, but while you're doing a reciting and then you're thinking something else, that is not practice at all. And practice Dharma is Mahayana Buddhism is reduce or diminish negative emotions and try and stop create negative karma. That is practice. Then it doesn't matter whether you sit down or recite mantra or prayers, or you don't recite any mantra, doesn't matter. As long as you control, you reduce or you diminish your negative actions and negative emotions, then you are authentic Dharma practitioner. Otherwise, you are not. You, even though you hundreds of thousands of recite mantras and all of that, but your mind is same as before. What is the point? I used to do that a lot. In a monastery, there's like every single day we have all these recitations and prayers, but always thinking something else. Then that recitation in saying prayers, nothing help you to reduce your negative karma, emotions, afflictions, then what is the point? So therefore, myself, like as I meditate, the more I meditate, I recognize how it's important to combine sort of the mindfulness and bodhicitta. I always tell you these two things, the foundation of your practice. So the mindfulness helps you to be observe what is going on, or be present, focus on in present moment. And then bodhicitta create all your actions and motivations are pure. So therefore, always, no matter what you practice, as a beginner, I'm talking about like us, like as beginner Dharma practitioners, we always, no matter what you practice, recitations, prayers, shamatha, vipassana, dzogchen, whatever, the mindfulness and bodhicitta, whatever you practice, you must combine it with this two. Without this two, you are not a genuine and authentic Dharma practitioner. I can say that. So therefore, I hope you will not forget them, this mindfulness and bodhicitta. So that's, before we go any further today teaching, I just remind you, what is Dharma practice and what is not Dharma practice. And to understand how important to combine mindfulness and bodhicitta with whatever you practice. That is how you correct your motivation. And then today's stanza from the Bodhisattva's Garland of Jim is avoid the 10 negative actions and always make your faith be strong. Isn't that beautiful? It's very important. I'm not going to go into great detail about these 10 negative actions. I mean, they're a huge subject. There are so many, like if you practice Vinaya, this 10 negative actions, teachings on 10 negative actions, like hundreds of pages. But I'm not going to, it's not necessary. I think you all know them. But these 10 negative actions are related to our body, speech, and mind, right? So there are 10 negative, unwholesome actions. The first 3 negative actions of body or physical negative actions are killing, taking what is not given, stealing, right? And sexual misconduct. Those are related to your physical or body negative actions. And then 4 negative actions of speech or verbal negative actions are lying, divisive talk, harsh speech, and gossip. And then the 3 negative way of thinking or mental negative actions are covetousness, malicious thoughts, and wrong views. So these are total the 10 types of negative actions. And the Buddhist tradition, we say that these negative actions are motivated by self-grasping and ignorance and selfishness. Therefore, the nature of these actions are your mental action, verbal action, physical action are naturally negative because of the motivation. So the result of these actions are negative because harm others and ourselves. So therefore, it is important to try to avoid them as much as we can. And then the verse says, always make your faith be strong. This means we should analyze and examine these negative actions and develop faith based on a good understanding of meaning of sort of these negative actions and a belief that the laws of karmic causes and effect are true, inevitable, and certain. Okay? If you don't believe the result of these negative actions, then your faith not be strong. So faith, we're talking here about faith. Tapa yunna hinlip jamarang. It says, tapa yunna hinlip jamar. With faith, blessing is not far away. Mugi yunna namyang tukjizik. Mugi, devote. For devoted one, compassion of Guru is all the time present in front of you. Then Taknang is one with a pure view or vision, sees all perceptions as Guru, as Buddha. To receive all the blessings or not, it is up to individual. Therefore, we have to keep our discipline and practice genuine faith and devotion. Once you develop faith and devotion, then you will have pure perception, pure view. Then you see everything, all the perceptions as a lineage, as a teacher, as a Buddha, as a Bodhisattva. Then you receive blessings. If we let our body, speech, and mind get involved with these 10 negative actions, then we accumulate negative karma. Okay? So we create this negative karmic causes by our actions, and we experience their result. This is true or not, you examine, investigate, and then you will understand. That is what here mean, your faith be strong. So it is important to remember that every action has an effect, and it will eventually ripen on us. So we have to remember, when I say action, there are 3 actions, I think, more than 3, but include, the verbal action, physical action, mental action. I think that's include everything. So, cause and effect, the result, functions whether we believe in it or not. From the Buddhist point of view, as you know, the suffering is not caused by Creator, right? It is caused by our actions. So when we talk about action that causes us suffering, we're talking about negative karma, such as these 10 negative actions. So as you know, karma is a Sanskrit word. It literally means action. And more specifically refers to the process of cause and effect. That is what we mean by karma, from Buddhist point of view. Sometimes people think karma is the result of karma. For example, if you got sick, you say, oh, that's my karma. But karma is the action, not the result, okay? You create that action, then you will get the result, which is either positive or negative, suffering or happiness. That's the result. So everything that we experience is the result of our past action, our past actions. So whether that is true or not, you have to investigate. That's how you develop your faith. That's why Buddhists say, we are responsible for our actions. Therefore, we have to be careful with these 10 negative actions that are related to our body, speech, and mind. Try to avoid these negative actions, 10 negative actions, okay? Then why you need to avoid these 10 negative actions, then it comes to, the cause and effect, karma and actions. Then you investigate. Then you understand the meaning of cause and effect. That is what that's why here says faith, to be strong. That's how you develop your faith. And the next stanza is Todang ngarjir yomsha mambasimjang dambrahya lokunsowa nampangchang chujin sowin sowarhya. Overcome anger and arrogance and be endowed with humility. Relinquish wrong livelihood and be nourished by living the Dharma. Chujin sowin sowarhya. So here we are talking about overcome anger and arrogance, right? First line. Everybody gets angry from time to time. Because when things don't work out as we expected or as we wish it, then we become uncomfortable or angry. But as you know, anger will not fix anything, right? And might only make it worse, the situation. So if you are always getting angry, anger person, then others are going to be afraid to be with you, right? I do. So sometimes people would say that I'm very angry. How should I control my anger? I have an anger problem. Trying to control anger is very difficult, very challenging, because at that point, it's too late. It doesn't work like that. When you are angry, it's too late. At that time, like, your patience doesn't come just because you want it when you are angry. Oh, I'm angry, I have to be patient. It doesn't work like that, right? If your anger seems out of control, it causes you to do things you regret and hurts those around you. Then you create really negative karma through your action of, anger of, body, speech, and mind. So if you are not a good practitioner, then you can't control when your anger is right there. So you just can't get rid of when you are angry. So we say that it is important to control your anger before your anger controls you, right? So what you can do is to reduce your anger while you are not angry. You need to examine what usually makes you angry. What kind of situation gives arise your anger? You have to think, you have to investigate. So next time when you find yourself in this kind of situation, then you have to be aware of these things and try to avoid them, right? So when you see you are in danger of giving rise to anger in relation to this kind of whatever objects, you should be aware of when you are in situation where it is about to happen. That's why, again, mindfulness is so important. That's usually how you reduce your anger. And while your anger is there and you're angry, then it's really difficult to control. But before, you have to examine the situation, and then you feel or you are in danger zone, then you have to be aware of the situation. Then you think about how to reduce that and be patient. Okay, so that's that. We don't have to talk a lot about anger. We know that. So next is arrogance. Arrogance is another problem, right? We'll talk a little bit about arrogance. So I think one of the hardest things to recognize in ourselves is arrogance. As you know, arrogance can lead us to be only concerned with ourselves. Of course, we all want to be more confident. Confident helps us, how do I say, build strong relationship with others. Confidence helps get things done and move us forward in our lives. That's necessary. So we should have confidence in whatever good qualities we have and use them courageously. But make sure we do not feel arrogant, because sometimes our confidence can become arrogant. And it makes things personal, and that brings a lot of problems. So my teachers always say that, right? It's very important to understand how to not be arrogant, but still be confident. Kanchen Jigme Panzo always talk about the difference between these two. How important to have confidence, but not be arrogant. So confident people have good self-respect or self-value, without being arrogant. or without, like self-centered. But arrogant people are focused on making themselves look as good as possible. And an arrogant person is constantly thinking about him or herself and about how other people view them, Arrogant people, they will not change their behavior to make other people feel comfortable. In some cases, you are literally the boss, right? And you need to make the decisions and be in charge. But in many other cases, that is your arrogance talking, and that's your ego's sort of voice. So since we're talking about arrogance, how do we stop being arrogant? Here, Atisha says, be endowed with humility. That's how you stop being arrogant. Be endowed with humility or humbleness, right? I think this is a good method and good solution to arrogance. Humility doesn't mean that you have no self-respect or self-value. It also doesn't mean that you feel like you are not good enough or you feel like you don't have any confidence with yourself. And also being humble doesn't mean feeling totally sort of helpless or without any qualities. Basically, being humble means giving some gentleness towards others, showing respect for others, and remembering that you are not more special than others. We are not special than others. People think that he's very special, she's very special. Why special? We are not special. We're all equal. Humility or humbleness, it also means someone who fully recognizes how fragile this life is. Humble people are well aware of themselves, right? They know their strengths, their skills, and they're not self-centered. They're usually capable of doing great things, but they don't feel the need to show off their achievements. They know their strengths, which gives them a lot of confidence, but they're not arrogant about their abilities. They never think, oh, I'm very special, I'm better than this and that. But they're very your confidence improves as you are not worried and distracted. So humble people will be happy for others. They don't have jealousy. Humble people recognize how lucky they are each day and are thankful for what they have. They are very satisfied with what they have. Humble people don't feel they're better than other people. Instead, respect others. Humble people feel more at peace with themselves and their surroundings. My teacher, Kanchin Pamma, you have no idea how humble person he was and how peaceful person he was. Always the way he walk, the way he speaks, the way he show his actions, so peaceful. And he always like respect, no matter what kind of person who are famous or not famous, or who are rich or who are poor. For him, just equal. There is no difference. We always talk about like when sometimes like, you know, when he went to China, and sometimes some students, you know, Chinese people, you know, they offer him a lot of money, and some people, they don't have any money, but for him it's no difference. He just respects them very equally. But he's a great teacher. He has great capacity, abilities, confidence, but not arrogant, very humble. There is a story of Papa which I told you many times, right? One time Papa Rinpoche traveled in Tibet, and he met a lay person, very lay person, and this person, remember, told him that Papa Rinpoche, you know, told Papa Rinpoche that you look like very humble person, and asked Papa Rinpoche, you know, have you received the words of my perfect teacher by Papa Rinpoche? He didn't recognize this person was Papa Rinpoche, you know. And Papa Rinpoche said, no, I haven't received the teachings. And then this lay person said, you know, I can read you, I can give you the transmission, written transmission if you want. Papa Rinpoche said, yes, please. And he listened the entire, you know, the whole text from this lay person. And Papa Rinpoche was one of the best example of bodhisattvas. But outside, he was just like ordinary person. He never showed like or tell or think he's a very special person. And there's one time also the garden master, the Ndom, the best, the #1 student of Atisha. And he also traveled in Tibet. And one, you know, on the way, he met a person, and this person asked him to carry his shoes for him. I mean, Tibetan culture, you know, you ask, carry my shoes, it's not good. That is really not respectful, you know. But Rontomba said, you know, of course. And he put them on his shoulder. So like that, so he was very like, you know, Papa Rinpoche, like Ndom Tomba, they're very humble person, bodhisattva. So following this bodhisattvas as an example and keeping a sense of humbleness throughout our lives is so important, because it will help us overcome our arrogance, selfishness, and anger. I mean, that's here. How they overcome our arrogance and anger? Then it says the next line is being, humble. Is the best method. So I think the best method for both anger and arrogance is practicing, as I said, bodhicitta with mindfulness. Then you become a genuine Dharma practitioner, which means like the bodhicitta with mindfulness, practice with this combination, you become a genuine Dharma practitioner and overcome arrogance and anger. I mean, that's what bodhicitta means. Generally speaking, to overcome our rigid mind, it really comes down to two things. Number one, observe our rigid behaviors with our mindfulness all the time, just to be aware. Number one. Number two, develop an understanding of reality, which is the relationship between outside, appearances and inside our mind. So when you make these two relationships in harmony, then your mind is closer to less arrogance. Once you make these two relationships in harmony, then your wisdom will arise. And when there is no longer illusion between outside and inside appearances in your mind, then you will be able to recognize how to overcome negative emotions and rigid mind. Once you reach this kind of destination of mind, then everything becomes harmonious, so that every day is a great gift and auspicious. So remember, to overcome anger and arrogance is a state of realization that is the result of reducing our illusion, ignorance, and having a recognition of our own sort of reflection with wisdom, and creating harmony relationship between outside and inside. If we don't recognize our illusion and lack of reflection, there is no way to overcome these negative thoughts. That's how you overcome arrogance and anger. The next verse says, relinquish wrong livelihood, and be nourished by living a spiritual life. Okay, here the wrong livelihood or unwholesome kind of living is being involved with, remember, those 10 negative actions. And always having an unwholesome motivation and being a selfish person in daily life, that is what is meant by wrong livelihood. And be nourished by living a spiritual life. This is important to remember each and every day, right? So what does it mean to live a spiritual life? It really means like three things that we have to practice every day, I think. One, live in spiritual life, have a few desires and contentment, right? Second, never be apart from bodhicitta and mindfulness each day. And each day have the intention to let go selfish mind, recognize the sort of disadvantages of being self-centered. Third, think more positive and don't sort of ignore your everyday life, no matter what, happy, suffering, whatever. Think positive, which is, we should look for a deeper meaning of life and understand the nature of life. And as I said, be humble person as much as possible. That's all. Basically, living a spiritual life is someone who practices the opposite of those 10 negative actions. The opposite of 10 negative actions, 10 positive actions, right? So that is what living a spiritual life really means. Okay. Now the next is Sanzang Tamchin Nampangyang Pakpi Norji Jambrahya Tapa Nordan Satam Nor Tupa Nordan Tong Nor Terid Moza Shipin Hirbnyin Nordenbo Nordan Nambanda Dakti Muzit by Tirdenti Mamayan La Judmahya. Okay. Give up all material possessions. Embellish yourself with the wealth of the noble ones. Now there's 7 treasury, 7 treasures. Well, like the first here says the wealth of faith, the wealth of discipline, the wealth of learning, the wealth of generosity, the wealth of decency, the wealth of having a sense of shame, and the wealth of wisdom. These are the 7 riches. These precious and excellent jewels are the 7 treasures that never run out. Do not seek of this to those who are not human. Okay, in Tibetan, these are called Pakpa Nordan. Paknordan, okay? Pakpa means noble ones, Aryas, you know. Nor is wealth, belongings, your possessions, that's nor. So these are the inner wealth through the cultivation of what are known as the 7 treasures of noble ones, or 7 treasures of Dharma. Buddha said in his sutra that whoever, man or woman, has these great treasures is a very rich person. And if you possess these 7 treasures, your life will not be meaningless. Now, the first wealth is, I'm going to, there are 7 through one by one, a little bit. So the first wealth is faith or conviction. Tatpanor means faith, wealth of faith. So developing faith is very important, but developing faith in Buddhism without good reason, what do you call it? Is what we call blind faith, right? So the blind faith was not recommended by the Buddha himself or other great spiritual masters in our tradition. So therefore, it is important to develop what is called the confident faith by investigating the teachings with your own intelligence and wisdom. The more you understand the meaning of your life, the more you understand the meaning of Dharma, the more your faith, confidence will grow. And the more of a treasure it becomes. That's why they call it wealth of faith. And then second, the wealth is self-discipline. Satam in Tibet means like morality or ethics, discipline. Discipline is it's another important one, right? Paying attention to every action of body, speech, and mind. Paying attention to whatever you're doing. That is what we call meditation of discipline. So again, mindfulness, very important, because this wealth of discipline comes when you observe your thinking and observe your actions. That is practice of discipline. And that is absolutely necessary in our daily life. And then third wealth is generosity. Tatansatam. Tongwa in Tibetan, Tongwa means generosity. Generosity is actually, openness of the mind. And it has to come with, again, good motivation and less attachment through the practice of generosity. Then whatever you give, whether it is big or small, or whether it is mutual giving, or whether it is given Dharma teachings, or as well as sharing your experience, sharing your knowledge, or positive thoughts, and wishing others to be happy, whatever. It will be great generosity as long as you have a pure intention. Not for like you give something, then you become a famous, or not for public sort of recognition. Generosity is important. Practice generosity, because then through practice generosity, you can reduce your attachment. That's the point. So which is openness of your mind to understand, actually understand what is attachment, how to reduce attachment through the practice generosity. Okay, that it has come to with a really good motivation when, you know, when we talk about generosity. And then the fourth wealth is, of course, learning and study, tupa. So if you try to study the teachings and try to apply them constantly with your faith, courage, with your commitment, then learning and study becomes one of the great teachers for practitioners. So you can learn something new, right? And great benefit from the teachings. And the teachings you receive are to be practiced. And it is about going inward and observing your actions. And you have to remember the teachings and practices constantly when you need it. Again, with your mindfulness. That's the fourth wealth, inner wealth. And then fifth wealth is decency, you know, or self-respect. Teryotpa in Tibetan, telyot. Understand the meaning of self-respect. We don't hold negative views of ourselves. We don't look down on others. Taking care of ourselves, our health and well-being. All of this is self-respect, I think. So whether we are alone or with others, we must act as practitioners. Meaning, again, bodhicitta with mindfulness. We have to act with those two practices. So as a Buddhist practitioner of the Mahayana, we must learn to respect ourselves. We must to keep a sense of humbleness. This is a teacher of practitioners. Then sixth wealth, inner wealth, is respect for others or care for how our actions reflect on others. Observe, you know, observe how our actions on others. So you see, we are living in a world filled with conflict and disharmony. Very difficult, right? So how do we show respect to others? How do we show respect to someone who actually doesn't seem to deserve it? But if our goal, motivation is genuinely show respect to others, then it doesn't matter whether someone deserves or not. So try to understand others' situation, even if you never fully agree, at least you will learn something new and make them feel respected. And showing others your respect in your daily life is a great way to tell others that you care about them, especially if you are a Mahayana practitioner and if you practice bodhicitta, you must respect others and show your love and kindness. So these are the, oh no, then we have another left, right? The last, the seventh wealth is Sherab Sangpo, Sherab, perfect wisdom. Wisdom. So you know wisdom. There are many different way to explain wisdom, such as the wisdom which is the result of contemplating or analyzing, the wisdom which comes from the practice of meditation, or the wisdom that comes from contemplation, etc. There are many aspects of wisdom. But the point is we need to transform ourselves into Dharma and turn our mind into wisdom. Our mind and the Dharma should not be two different things. Our mind and practice bodhicitta and mindfulness should not be two different things, should be inseparable. That whole aspect is wisdom. So these are, all of these seven treasures, the most important is the wisdom. I think through wisdom, then you can practice all of the other six, the inner wealth, the treasure of Aryas, the noble ones. So these are the seven treasures that never run out. If we have, whoever has these seven treasures is a very, Buddha said, very rich person. Meaning you will be very satisfied, you will be very happy, you will be very, have a meaningful life. So these are the things that we should try to develop as much as we can. So today we have the summary. We have to avoid the 10 negative actions. We have to understand how to overcome our arrogance and anger, and have a sense of humbleness throughout all our lifetime. And then think about all this inner wealth, the seven treasuries. That's all. I think I'm going to stop here for today's teaching. In summary, we have a lot. If you really want to put them into your daily life, this is a lot. You have to think a lot. Please, just don't stop once the teaching's done, and then you just don't think about it, and then you will not remember the teachings. Then you don't remember what is meaning of being a humble person, how to overcome arrogance, what is different between confidence and arrogance. So we have to develop our confident faith. So we have to investigate and think about the meaning of all his teachings. So when you have time, you have to contemplate these teachings. Otherwise, just you receive the teachings and then you, okay, I'm done. Then you will not remember when you need it, right? So that's that. That's very important. And then we're going to, of course, continue to practice today again the Dhammasambhava's prayers. It's a very bad year, I think. Lots of people are suffering. Lots of people create negative karmas. Involved those, see the 10 negative actions. So that's the result that the create negative karma, the result, the whole world, living beings are suffering because we are interdependent on each other. So therefore, we're going to, recently I heard that at least like in the war, 50-something people, include children, people killed in a missile strike on a train station in Ukraine. And then bodies are all over on the road. And not only that, there are lots of people are suffering and all kinds of problems. So please practice with this prayer, not just to recite the prayer, is again combined with bodhicitta and mindfulness. And then say the Dhammasambhava's mantra 100 times. Make sure with bodhicitta and mindfulness. Let's do that right now. Can you, all right, okay, perfect, thank you.
The prayer to Guru Rinpoche that spontaneously fulfills all wishes. Imaho, in Dewachin, blissful, pure realm of the West, Amitabha's compassionate blessing was aroused, and he blessed his emanation Padmasambhava to come into this world to bring benefit to all beings. Compassionate one, you never cease to bring us health and well-being. To the lotus-born Guru Padmasambhava we pray, grant your blessing so all our wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. When faced by killers on all sides who threatened us with lethal weapons, with no trace of doubt or hesitation, we pray, O Guru Rinpoche, the protection of your Vajra tent will cause killers to panic and weapons to be scattered. To the lotus-born Guru Padmasambhava we pray, grant your blessing so all our wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. When terrifying armies of oppression encircle us, menacing the great centers of the Dharma with destruction, with no trace of doubt or hesitation, we pray, O Guru Rinpoche, with your retinue of 8 classes of gods and demons, you will repel aggressors and their armies. Of this we have no doubt. To the lotus-born Guru Padmasambhava we pray, Grant your blessing so all our wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. When immense suffering engulfs the world and beings, turn it into happiness and peace, O Guru Rinpoche. When weapons of war threaten the whole face of the earth, turn back the armies that plunge this age into turmoil, O Guru Rinpoche. To the lotus-born Guru Padmasambhava we pray, grant your blessing so all our wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. At this time, the eve of the final battle, when hordes of demons and Samaya breakers gather their legions, Padmasambhava, Supreme Lord of all Vidyadharas and Dakinis, pray don't shrink from your promise now the time has come. Devour the heart blood of the demons, Maras, and Samaya violators. To the lotus-born Guru Padmasambhava we pray, grant your blessing so all our wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Glorious and terrifying Haruka, Padmasambhava, the time has come to suppress, with the full force of the three worlds. Pray intensify the power of your adamantine great bliss. To the lotus-born Guru Padmasambhava we pray, grant your blessing so all our wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. We human beings born at the time of the final battle are scared. Padmasambhava, Supreme Master of fearless, crazy wisdom, the time to wipe out your enemies has come. Fiercely unsheath your sword, raise it high, use your weapon now. To the lotus-born Guru Padmasambhava we pray, grant your blessing so that all our wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Without ever leaving the wisdom mind Dharmakaya's great peace, you arise as a real blood-drinking Haruka. Pray quell the fighting of this, the final battle, and restore peace to the world. To the lotus-born Guru Padmasambhava we pray, grant your blessing so all our wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Oma Hom Benza Guru Pramasidi Hom. 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 Oma Hum Benza Guru Pramasidi Hum. 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 Om Nam Guru Nam Guru 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 Om Nam Guru Om Nam Guru 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 Nam Guru Om Om Ahong Ganza Guru Kamasi Om. Embodiment of all sources of refuge, Organ Rinpoche, to you we pray with a yearning so strong it is hard to bear. Dispel all obstacles, outer, inner, and secret, into space, and grant your blessing so all our aims and wishes are fulfilled according to the Dharma.
All right, thank you. Dedication.
May I attain in each and every life the sublime virtues of existence and peace. May I pursue the flawless mindset of altruism, working for the welfare of others on a vast scale. Through this very merit of mine, may every single sentient being eliminate all forms of negativity and practice virtue forevermore. May supreme precious bodhicitta take birth where it has not arisen, where it has arisen, may it never wane, but continue to grow forevermore. For as long as space exists, for as long as beings endure, until then may I too remain to dispel the suffering of all beings. May I in all my lives, no matter where I am born, obtain the 7 qualities of the upper realms of existence. May I meet the Dharma immediately after taking birth and have the freedom to practice perfectly. May I please the sublime gurus and day and night dedicate myself to the Dharma. By realizing the Dharma and practicing its innermost essence, may I cross the ocean of conditioned existence in this very life. May I teach the sublime Dharma perfectly and never become weary and tired of benefiting others in samsara. By my own impartial and all-encompassing activities to benefit others, may all attain enlightenment together. Pre, in the divine mandala where all that appears and exists is utterly pure, you, the sovereign of all the Buddha families and teacher of the Tantras, mature and liberate the 3 gates into their Vajra nature. Vajra King, may you ever remain. Within their Vajra body, you reveal the mandala of the great bliss of the indestructible 3 secrets. Most supreme of all, Lord of the Vajra transmission, Vajra Master, may you remain for 100 eons. Through the effortless path, you directly reveal unchanging self-awareness, the basic space of great bliss. Caring for the profound key instructions of perfection, glorious Guru, may you remain until the end of existence. Precious successor to the Gurus of the 3 lineages, may you remain throughout the 3 times in Vajra form, forever hoisting the great banner of the Dharma of the 3 lineages throughout the 3 realms.